Oh my God!
You know what? That. Excellent. You're on the chin or cheese.
Okay, first one is Joe Kennett, Hull Red Labour. Thank you.
Right, can you hear me? Right, okay.
Speaker.
Right, okay, thank you for...
No.
Right, okay, thank you for asking me to stay.
Just speak like that.
Come on, Sarah!
Is that it? Right, okay. Right, thank you for asking me to say a few words at this rally. Hull Red Labour are totally behind everyone who works with people who are homeless and people who are having to live on the streets. The shame of it is that in the year 2015, we are having to be here at all, having to make a point and stand up for basic human rights. Right, okay. The right to have food over your head, the right to have food, warmth and shelter. They are indeed Maslow's basic needs, and they have to be achieved before we can even attempt to look at our other needs and rights, such as education, arts, culture, and let's face it, having fun. We are all, repeat all, a day away, perhaps an hour away from a crisis, an injury, an illness, a relationship breakup, the loss of a vital support network in our lives, from being without a home and often without hope. This government has removed so many of the safety nets that used to help prevent people from becoming homeless. They have removed the opportunities for people to gain an education and training, albeit even later in their lives, to build the self-esteem, gain skills, and all of us which support us back into a fulfilling potential of life. This government is also demonstrating and demonising and dehumanising groups and individuals who have lost employment and often subsequently their homes. The right-wing media has a field day with its stigmatisation headlines and its broadcasting of programmes that can only be described as poverty porn, all designed to stop people realising that there but for fortune go you or I.
Help the homeless!
I won't see it because I'm not doing that.
Help the homeless! We're freezing, we're starving, we need our shelter.
Those who work with people who are vulnerable and have no homes are doing a job that should never be in existence. It's an appalling state of affairs. And it is, however, got to be done. Along with this, it is also vital that we work together to challenge this neoliberal price for everything, value for nothing agenda. There's a lot going on in Hull, but it's so important that we know of each other's existence and work together. Work together to ensure that the disgrace of needing food banks and needing to feed people on the streets is resigned to history. Don't let this be a one-off event. Let's build from it and fight back. Hull Red Labour has not put a cut through. We have challenged this being a bailiff for the government.
Mission finished.
We already work with the Greens. We already work with TUSC, the Trade Union Socialist Coalition. We already work with many activists and people across the city. We need to join forces, pool our resources, build relationships and trust. Otherwise we play into the hands of those who would divide us. Those who would, it's in their interest to divide us. We're not tethered, we just think we are. We're a bit like those horses on westerns where they just throw it over the top of the pole. They could move, but they don't realise they could. There's not much time left, so we've got to stand up and work together because it really is business as usual. Thank you ever so much.
Dermot Rathbone, who's a full activist, is going to say a few words too. Thank you.
Right, hi everyone, thanks for being here. Just by making the effort to be here, we are all making a statement about what we think that in the 21st century, in the 6th richest country on this planet, that we have homelessness. It's absolutely outrageous and beyond belief. This generation should be the generation of hope. This generation should be the generation with technology and the ability to cure disease and all the things that make life livable. But instead, we face the word destitution. Destitution is stalking this land. That word hasn't been heard in this country since the 1930s. In 1945, we came together to make a commitment to build the NHS and to build world-class social housing for all our people. And I'm of that generation born in 1968, where we had all that, and it's now been eroded and taken away in a coalition of greed. And we must put a stop to that and put a stop to it now. At the end of the day, this country belongs to us as much as it belongs to the Bank of England, as much as it belongs to Starbucks or Barclays Bank or any of those other desperados in the City of London. It is time for us to come together, to stick together and take back what is rightfully ours and for the people of this country. Because 50% of the people who are homeless are under the age of 25, and many of them are having the hardest time imaginable, and this isn't right. Thank you for listening. All the best.
Okay, I've been left to introduce myself here, which is fine.
Yeah, we know you are.
But first I'd like to pay tribute to Sarah. Where's she gone? Is she hiding? And Hull Homeless Outreach. We've been going... for about 2 years doing the right thing for the homeless in the city. And it's an amazing tribute to them and to the ordinary people who supported them, joined them. I was privileged for a night or two to join them as well. And try to make a difference to homelessness in Hull. There should not be any homelessness in Hull. Do you agree?
Yes.
We ought not to have to even make points like this. And it's a sign of the times that we're forced to look at poverty in our communities, homelessness, joblessness we know about, now that we're all being forced into work whether we want to or not. Jobless benefit sanctions to make life even harder for people who've barely got a chance for a job in many places. Back in February there was a report which showed that homelessness, the key trigger for making homelessness rise was welfare reforms. The sorts of changes that have been blighting people, ordinary people across this country, even if they're vulnerable, perhaps especially because they're vulnerable, perhaps especially because they're not so well off to start off with. Things like the bedroom tax, just brought in by government as if on a whim. How can we get some money back from this benefit system that's supposed to be in place and supposed to be looking after us? And that's what they've done, putting pressure on tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are vulnerable, who are in social housing, who might have a disability, who might need that spare room for their kidney machine, or any of the other horror stories we've heard about from people who've needed that extra space in order to have a livable quality of life and not to be, yet again, forced onto scrap heaps by a government that doesn't care. So, the other side of the coin is, okay, we're working, we're a bit better off, we can afford things, can we buy a house? No. There's a crisis of housing in Britain which means that house prices have gone up and up and up. And now what do the Tories want to do? They want to sell off the remainder of the council housing in order to use houses as an asset so that prices will rise and rise and rise, and their own property, their own landlordship and so on will rise as well. Who's going to be able to get onto the ladder? This generation even? Not the next generation? Who's going to earn enough in order to afford that first house if this just happens like this? So, funnily enough, what's David Cameron promised? 400,000 houses to be built. I wonder who they'll be built for. I wonder who will be building them, which of his mates. And I wonder who will make the money out of it in the end. Because that's what's been going on. Finding way after way to enrich themselves and the 1% at the price of the utilities of the country, whether it's water, electricity, gas, whether it's a telephone service back in its day, most of the country, and on it goes. Royal Mail recently, East Coast Railways, so on. So, final thing I'd like to say is just to contrast it with the 400,000 houses that David Cameron has promised recently, is my party, the Green Party, haven't introduced myself yet. Martin Dean, Green Party, but I'd get told off by my spin doctor, if we could afford one, that is. So, Natalie Bennett, our leader, back in January, I think it was, promised from the Green Party 500,000 new houses, affordable houses, so that's social housing, council houses, housing association housing, affordable and built to a good standard. Now, when we say good standard, it means it's going to be insulated, might even have solar panels on it, and you won't need energy bills. Now that's a big difference on its own. Thank you. Someone's heard of us doing this in Huddersfield, where we're covering 2,000 houses with solar panels. It gets rid of fuel poverty, the tenants get energy for free, and it even pays itself back in about 10 or 12 years. Imagine if we did this across the council housing in Hull. What a start that would be. Getting rid of poverty, fuel poverty, and enabling even a boost to the local economy by that extra money. There's lots of things that can be done with housing. It's another of these major themes that can be used to test the health of a nation. And at the moment we're going in the wrong direction, and we're going to be promised more of that, unless we do something about it. And I'm happy to stand here with campaigners and colleagues from over the years now who are saying the same sorts of things as we are, and we're happy to make more alliances like this and to try and push an agenda forward in Hull and indeed across the country, an agenda that's not about creating poverty, but an agenda that's about ending it and ending inequality in Britain once and for all. Thank you.
On the Green Party. Would anybody else like to come up and say something? A few words? Just speaking from the heart. Susan? I'd ask you.